Hey,
Yo, guys, check
what's
it out.
up? Ooh, Chris, what you got? What you packing right now,
yo,
Chris? What you got? What's your fit?
I got the
Hey,
Yeezys
Chris,
on.
fit check.
I got the Supreme T-shirt, $1,000 white T-shirt.
Yeah.
You already know what you got. I got
Yeah.
2 chains for
Two-
2 chains.
Mhm.
2 chains. Brandon,
Yeah.
what you got on today?
Got my birthday suit on today.
Yeah, and what's that contain, Brandon? Tell the audience. Nothing.
Yeah,
A Santa hat.
seriously. I got my Gucci glasses on and my Santa hat, and that's it.
Hey, and you already know what I got. I'm rocking the Timbs. You see the ice on my wrist. You see the ice on. I got that Shadow the Hedgehog ice necklace. You know me. I'm rocking the fit. I'm rocking that Supreme jacket. You know. Come on. We're
Puffy
here for a
jacket.
good time. I'm wearing the bucket hat, bro. Come on. We're here. We're dripped
His
out
his hair is kind of dread.
What? Hey, look at that. Look at this fucking fit, man. Yeah, all right, we're dripped out. We're ready for Stacked episode 74. The episode about best costuming. We're gonna be talking about fits in movies, fits that characters wear in movies. You know, we want to talk about the drip in film, cinematic drip. We're gonna be talking about cinematic drip today. We picked this topic because Cyrano de Bergerac is coming to theaters this weekend, and it is nominated for best costuming at the Oscars. So we thought, what better time to talk about drip and fits? You know, you'll see the money, you'll see the shoes. Yeah, none of us have seen Cyrano, but we're gonna be talking about other costumes that should have been nominated. I think one of mine was nominated for best costuming. Maybe 2. I don't know. We'll find out.
Check.
Guys, this was a really hard list because I realized I know nothing about costuming in film. I don't like. It was like insane because I don't really like look at the costuming. I don't know. So I was just like, what do I pick?
Sure,
so I went with like, sure looks good. Yeah, I'd wear that. I'll pick that one. No, I went with the one that like. Just like I went with visual pleasing costumes. I just thought like just outfits and costumes that look really visually pleasing. I went with a really cool historical costuming because historical costuming is really hard, and I think some of those ones with really intense costuming like that from the olden times is really impressive. And then I went with a fantastical one and like costuming from like a fantastical film that really suits my my artistic taste buds, and I can't wait to share that one. So guys, what was it like for you to come with your best costuming list?
For me, it was sort of a similar. I actually did a very similar thing when picking my 3. I wanted to not do like all historical because honestly, it's like too easy. Like,
Yeah.
if you're going, you could pick any biopic or any film from like pre-1970, maybe pre-1980 even, and like you can find like good costuming, you know, where it's like fitting for the time or fitting for the era. And I just wanted to limit that to one that I thought did it abundantly the best, and then I did a fantastical one like you because there's like maybe like there's science fiction or fantasy movies or like, you know, superhero movies with great costuming, you know, because those are like what those films are known for, or something like Dune, which I don't know if we can choose, but I don't know if I chose it. And then we can't choose Dune. Well, I didn't choose it. But
You could choose the David Lynch Dune if you like those ones.
And then if we're solely going on that, then we also have like modern film costuming, which is kind of hard because like how do you make a modern film costume good? You know what I mean? Because it's like so bland. If you're living in the modern era, you're not looking back at something. You're kind of like have to read into like what the costuming is saying rather than, oh, this looks appropriate for the period or is very extravagant and unique.
Yeah. What about you, Chris?
I think I had a similar process to you guys where I quickly realized that like because we're tackling a whole discipline within the world of film, I had so many ideas and honorable mentions. But also like quickly realized like I'm not that well versed in the world of costuming, just because like it's not something I'm often like consciously thinking about when I'm watching a movie. I don't know, my brain just doesn't flow that way, and
Yeah.
yeah, and like there are definitely people out there who I'm sure love costumes and like will pay attention to them a lot more than I would. Um, but yeah, I quickly realized like wow, there are so many great movies that have done like some amazing work with costuming. Yeah, shout out to the costume designers and their teams out there. Like I don't even know how to begin with that shit, you know?
No, me neither.
And like so one thing I quickly noticed that kind of helped drive the way I made my stack is that I realized that there was a lot of diversity in the kinds of costumes I could find. So I split mine up into 3 different categories. The first being like the authentic depiction of a period piece. Second one is like a daring kind of sci-fi fantasy designs. And the third one, I kind of just want to have fun, and I chose I went with either a cool or iconic factor. Just any
Ooh.
kind of like just this is a sick costumes.
Yeah.
That was the basis for my last one. Yeah. Also, I did happen to notice, and I don't know if you guys experience this as well, but I noticed that a lot of my picks come from mid to high budget studio films because costume designers have access to a lot of resources to be able to really go for it. Because dude, costumes that's not cheap. Good costumes not
Expensive.
cheap. That's big money. But I hope that doesn't discredit the merits of costume design from smaller productions. But it just so happens that I tend to pick mid to high budget films for this one.
Shout out to Kelly Broderick, film studies.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, fellow film study students. I don't know if you listen to us, but we miss you.
Maybe.
We heard you're doing good
miss-
shit, by the way. Good
Yeah.
stuff for you.
She's like the most successful film studies person I know. So.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Bro, I will not
Good luck.
lie though. There is one more film. You know Justin McWilliams? Do you remember him?
Oh
That
yeah.
Cosmos from Film Theory. Very successful DP now.
Really?
Yeah, he's shooting these amazing music videos. All of his stuff is shot on film. He's like the film DP now.
Wow.
Very, very, very.
You know how to
talented.
blow your role. You know.
Hey, and then look at us, right? Hey,
Hey,
the first
podcast.
$1 billion podcast, stacked podcast, million
What can I
million
say?
million listeners.
I'm
We're
basically living
millionaires.
out of my own car right now. It's so sad.
Easy for you to say. I'm living in a mansion. I got money. I got a pool.
Also, just an update for our Stacky viewers.
Oh, yes.
We moved.
Yeah, that's why there was
Yes.
no episode.
That's why there was no episode for. Yeah, that's why there was no episode last week, and that's why the next episode was late because Brandon and I we have moved. We're no longer in a house together. We're in an apartment together. We're 5 minutes away from Knott's Berry Farm. So
Why would you tell him that? Don't tell him.
because I wanted to find you. Brandon works at Knott's Berry Farm. Everyone, go find him. It's your sidewinder. Docs live. And you'll be finding me there because I got a Buddy Platinum Pass, so I can go whenever I want for free. Woo! Just a flex there. But yeah, we've moved now. We're in a smaller place. So apologies if you hear screaming children in the podcast now. There's a lot of
you might
screaming
wanna
children.
explain that.
Yeah, I know.
There was never a band.
Brandon's
a-
picked up a new hobby. So now there's gonna be screaming children in the walls. No, there's a lot of children at this apartment complex, and our window walls are thin. So if you ever hear a, that's not us. It's a kid from outside. I can't control that. Sorry, haha. Sorry.
There's no ban on kids in this area.
Okay. Yeah, I guess
Okay.
not. Alrighty. All right.
Let's do
Yeah.
this
So
then.
let's get into this. Yeah, we've moved. All right. Before we get into our picks, of course, we run down the rules of the show. Once a week, we set a topic or theme, go our separate ways, construct our own 3-film stack. Then after a week, we come back here on the podcast and share our own stacks 1 film at a time. Then at the end of the show, we will mix and match our 9 films, make the ultimate decision what quintessential 3-film stack we are checking out of this hypothetical video store. First up, the great Brandini himself, Brandon. What's your first
Me?
best costuming film?
So I'm gonna blow my load. With a period piece. I'm picking
Heck yeah.
Russian Ark from 2002.
Russian Ark?
Yeah,
Russian
look
art.
this movie up because I don't think you guys have seen it.
Oh wow.
Okay, so this is a one-take movie. I saw it a while ago, like I feel like 2 years ago is about right. And it's basically taking you through Russian history through this museum and like showing off all kinds of like art and majestic like historical events that were happening as a result of it is Russian, right? Yeah, it's Russian art. What am I thinking?
No, it's Greek
Uh,
actually, but it's Russian Ark, so I'm joking.
Is it really?
I'm joking. Oh,
I'm
by the
I'm
way,
joking.
before I say that, the guy shout out to Bob McDuff, the actor who from the I Think You Should Leave sketch. He passed away today. The dude who goes,
Oh.
"I'm joking," or "Give me that." He passed away today, so R.I.P. Anyways, Brandon, continue with Russian Ark.
Very interesting of you to say that in the middle of our podcast when I'm talking about my pick. It's okay. It's fine.
Well, we brought up I'm joking, and I just wanted to pay our respects.
Yeah, pay our respects. Press F for respects. So yeah, it basically takes place in like a museum over like 33 rooms, and it does all this historical stuff. So you get the evolution of style as you go from like room to room to room, and there's so much of it. It's a massive movie, even though it's like a breezy 90 minutes, it's around there. Like you see like the regalness of like costuming, and you see like the bottom, like where it seems like it's just sheets, but it's like not. It's like very well coordinated, and it's a very beautiful movie. And honestly, it's one of those movies where style over substance makes a lot of sense.
That's cool. Yeah, that's something I've kind of like. As soon as because I like when you said the title, I searched it up and I was like, this movie looks familiar. I feel like I might have seen and then I realized I've seen like a segment of this movie in my one of my cinematography classes back at Chapman, and yeah, it is a very like beautifully stylized film. Like you said, Brandon. Yeah, and like there are certain films out there, like people often say like substance over style always, but there are certain films where style can be the substance or can be deeply in service to the substance. And I think based on what you've told me and like just looking at what I've seen, like I can I can totally imagine why. And the one take nature of this, 1917.
Was it
is this movie a stunt?
Nah, it looks like a gimmick to
me.
Sorry.
They were really trying to. It was a very, very, very successful gimmick for it to get attention all over the world.
Did this movie get any love at like Oscars or anything?
I don't think it did. I mean, it's fairly well known. I think like a lot of people have heard of this movie. I think. But I don't think a lot of people have like actually like sat down to watch it, because like I get it, like the conceit to like sit down and watch like Russian history as like one take is kind of challenging.
Right, yeah. It's a hard sell.
That's a hard sell because it's like it's not going to always have a lot of dialogue, it's not going to have a consistent story, and without cuts I feel like a lot of people would like lose interest.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think I heard of this movie in like a Cinefex like top 10 thing about costuming, or it was either that or cinematography, because I remember they were talking about the one take. And I vaguely remember this film, and boy howdy, yeah, this is quite a picture to choose for costuming, because like that's so cool. I didn't know really what it was about, but it's like I love that it's like taking through history one room at a time, and that leaves for the costume designer to go through so much research and like work into putting all these detailed costumes, and they look so detailed. I mean, Russian fashion in general is just always so detail oriented and like so focused on just like the tiniest things, um, and it really shows through this film, and I gotta check it out. You know, Caroline's a big fan of Russian cinema. I wonder if she's seen this, and she likes fashion too. So maybe I'll watch it with her. See what she thinks. She's a real aficionado with this stuff. So I'm in. Sounds good to me. All right, Chris, let's go through your first costuming film.
All right, my first film is also a period piece film. I want to quickly shout out a couple honorable mentions for period piece because I'm probably not going to pick them. Well, I'm not going to pick them. Grand Budapest, Titanic,
Yep.
Pirates of the Caribbean, and Handmaiden. I
Uh,
hope I didn't just steal one of your guys' picks.
Those were
But-
definitely under the consideration. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. But I wanted to pick a movie that actually came out last year because this movie has weirdly stuck with me. I'm picking Pablo Larraín's Spencer.
Oh, Spencer.
I really like this movie. It's grown on me a lot over time. So real quick, I'll just explain that Spencer tells a story of Princess Diana of Wales on the critical weekend of her life where she decided that her marriage to Prince Charles wasn't working. A very simple slice of life movie. And not only does it provide a really earnest and honest gaze into the life and psyche of Princess Diana, obviously a very troubled person who endured a lot of things while she was involved with the royal family. Speaking of which, the other side of this film is a huge indictment of the royal family. I usually try not to get too political in conversations as a whole, but as someone whose home was colonized and then abandoned by these fuckers, I'll pretty happily say this publicly. Yeah, fuck the royals. The queen has the queen has COVID. I think that's kind of funny.
Chris,
So-
we're making enemies with this podcast.
Oh yeah, the British royal family, my true blooded enemy. Anyway, enough jabbing at them. Because I'm not there. I'm not here to talk about those lizard people. I'm here to talk about this movie's costume design, which I think is fantastic. It captures that early '90s high British fashion aesthetic really well. And especially I think what makes the look of this film, the look of the costumes work so well, is how well it's paired with this film's really impeccable cinematography and production design. Princess Diana is known for being a very, very fashionable woman, and they carry that over really well. All of the costumes look incredibly authentic to real real outfits that she's worn publicly. There are scenes that are recreated that there's real footage of her. Yeah, and the costumes really just breathe through the screen for me when I see this. The movie is very eerie in its visual design, but it's also kind of gorgeous in its own twisted kind of way. I guess kind of like Clockwork Orange, if you know what I mean. Yeah, and I think the costumes play a big role in making that work so well. And yeah, I think Spencer has some great costumes, and I thought it was great. Ethan, did you see Spencer?
No, but it just got onto Hulu, and I need to watch that because, fun fact, I haven't seen any of the Best Actress nominees for this year at the Oscars.
But he's seen all the Best Picture nominees.
I've seen all the Best Picture nominees, but I haven't seen any of the Best Actress. So that's going to be my homework. My biggest piece of homework is to watch all of those before.
They say believe women, but Ethan's not,
What? I just believe in women that I thought were better than those ones. I haven't seen the performances.
Yikes.
Yikes.
But Brandon, do you have any thoughts on Spencer?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good period piece. I think the way the lighting plays off the characters is really interesting. It also goes for it's kind of like the modern aesthetic, like the transition from period to modern, which is really nice. I think a lot of reasons why the Academy didn't jump for it was because it was set in the 80s or 90s. I can't remember which decade, but I think it was 90s actually. But yeah, it's more modern, but the style is almost synonymous with Princess Diana. Because throughout her it's not really a reign because she wasn't like queen or anything, but throughout her time as princess, like she was like scrutinized for everything and including her style. And I feel like that's true with most people in power. You often you see that with Obama, like they criticized him for wearing a tan suit, or Melania Trump when she was the first lady for like wearing like I don't know, very extravagant dresses, you know, like not professionally extravagant, like almost like too much, you know. So like you often see that with films, and I think they capture that really well here. And like her style is like you see it all, like she has like a whole wardrobe of it, and like they're going through it throughout the movie, and you get to see her wear I don't know how many costumes, but quite a few. Some of them are like homely, some of them are formal. Some like she just wants to feel like a normal person in it, like she can. And I think that's like really probably the best part about the movie, is because like it interacts with like the character. Sometimes in costuming just looks cool, or is just really detailed, or has like a large scale, like with Russian Ark. But with like Princess Diana and Spencer, like that is like almost intrinsically connected with her character.
Yeah,
it's on the poster so too. Even. Like even outside of the film, like I haven't seen the movie, but I know like from what I know of Princess Diana, I remember like one of her biggest like defining traits was like her sense of fashion and like what she wore. Like that was something a lot of people talked about, you know.
Even if the movie kind of takes that down a little bit, not a spoiler, but not that she wasn't like wasn't her style. It was that it kind of. The royal family kind of scripted some of the things, and now it's not based on it is based on truth, but we don't know like the actual truth because like Princess Diana's dead, you know. So how are we gonna have a tell-all book about that? Yeah, that's news. But like she was like unhappy that she had like a specific wardrobe set for her, even if she was a very like iconic fashionista. So yeah.
Alrighty. Hell yeah, I'm glad we brought this up. Well, my first film is actually one that Chris already shouted out, so thank you for that, Chris. Just kidding.
Oh, sorry.
You're good, dude. You didn't know. I'm choosing Grand Budapest Hotel. It's mine. I wanted to choose a Wes Anderson film for this because I think his costuming in his films is always pretty delightful. And I just had to go with this one because just like the way he takes all sorts of Eastern European influences in his costuming, playing off of multiple periods of time, you know, in the film. So we get multiple periods of costuming, and just like, but I think by far my favorite aspect of the costumes in this is the coloring and how they look, like the bellboy costumes and just all the workers at the hotel wearing that rich purple with the red, and like I don't know if it's a velvet that they're wearing, but it sure looks like it. And then with the gold highlights to it all, it's just so charming and visually pleasing, and it just like every outfit in this movie, in this like the world movie, like complements the lighting and the cinematography that Anderson uses. And it is just like, I remember that was one of my first picks when I thought about costuming. I had to pick this one because I was just like, that's one of the only films where my eye is always drawn to what the people are wearing. So I had to go with Grand Budapest Hotel. What do you guys think?
It's a great costume movie. Sorry. Yeah, like I would agree. Like I mean, like Wes Anderson's films are always very visually driven, in every way. But I guess, yeah, I mean, like costuming is just as vital of a part in his films as any other aspect of visual design. And Grand Budapest probably has, my favorite costumes of all of his films. I love like the films. The films overall look like those pastel, vibrant colors and everything. And like just the way like this kind of like, I forget, when is this movie set? It's like a fictional portrait of the, like the the 40s, I think, right? Because it's, or the 30s.
30s or 40s,
forget, but yeah, like
there's cars,
it's so it's so well done, and I think like you can tell how much detail went into it. Um, it's so vibrant and so just like I don't know. It's one of those. It's like a visual treat every time you get to look at any of the characters wearing whatever, and it's so. Frankly, there's an aspect to it that, as intricate as they all are, it's also just so pretty. Like the
Yeah.
costumes are just nice to look at.
Mhm.
And credit where credit's due. Like that's very well done. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason I shouted this movie out, and
Bada
there you
bing.
go,
Yeah.
Brando.
It made my short list for costuming, especially for period pieces. Chris named a lot of the ones that I was thinking about when I was going through the period pieces, and Grand Budapest is one of them, just because everything feels a part of the same world. Often you can have like films where costuming is like it doesn't look like one's wardrobe is from another, and it's nothing to do with variety because there's plenty of variety in this film, but everything feels of the same age and texture and feel, and it feels just like right. And I feel like a lot of elements from this movie kind of blend together like that, but none more than the costumes, because like you've got like this uniform style between each of the hotels, you know, because there's the Grand Budapest Hotel, but then there's all of the other hotels and like establishments that uh Ralph Fiennes' character is kind of connected to, and they each have like very similar like rainbow colors, and like they're the society of I think the Golden Keys or something like that.
Yeah.
And like it's nice that they like are able to blend that through many different like either cultures or groups or whatever. And like you said, I feel like colorful like is the word that comes to mind when I think about the costumes in this movie, because there is variety, like I said, but like the color is what pops. You know, to have a purple outfit be what your main two protagonists wear is like very bold of a choice, because all
Yeah.
the stuff in the 60s and the 80s sequences are more washed out and muted,
Mhm.
whereas like it makes like the 1930s stuff pop, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Super fucking cool. All right, I'm glad we got to talk about this one. All right, let's go to the second round here, Brandon. What's your second pick?
All right, so here's my fantastical pick. It's
Ooh.
kind of a period piece. It's kind of not. It's The Adventures of Baron Mooshausen.
What? Terry Gilliam, that dude.
Yeah, yeah,
Tell us
that
about it.
guy.
Yeah,
Well,
tell us about
this
it.
was not. I didn't know until like literally a few minutes ago when I was like looking up the film. That this film was nominated for best costume design, but it
Oh,
makes sense
really?
because I was thinking to myself, like when I was trying to think like what are movies, like I wasn't looking at Letterboxd, I was just like thinking what movies are movies where I think the costumes stand out, and I was like this movie because it's a globe-trotting film because it deals with human myth, and it deals with the like the human mind and how we interpret things as children or as adults, like stories and tall tales. So as a costume designer, you have like a lot of room to play with the fantasy elements involved with that. Like you you see these characters and you're like, this is like straight out of a child's imagination, even if it's like not actually like a child, but tall tales are what come from children, you know, and they have to imagine that. And like when you imagine these stories, this is what you get. You get a guy who looks like a pirate basically as your lead protagonist. He wearing like a frilly hat with like lots of feathers and like almost like those like shower sponges that they have on your head, and it's like
Yeah.
super elegant and velvety. And then he's got a band of misfits that are dressed in like a bunch of different like kinds of clothing that are like colorful, much like a Wes Anderson movie,
Mm-hmm.
but like more playing upon the fantastical element rather than having it be grounded. There's like scary costumes, like there's this like black angel of death that's like kind of creepy. There's the Robin Williams alien costume, who's like he's the king of everything, and he's like looks like he has like two heads on him or something like that. And like when you think about it, this is like a costumer's like dream to dress a film, whether like yeah, to dress a film like this, to like have a film where you can kind of play with the historical vibes as well as the fantastical ones, because it blends the two kind of seamlessly. I don't know, Ethan, have you seen this film? Like, I know you
No,
might have mentioned. No.
but I'm well aware of the works of Terry Gilliam. This is one of the few that I haven't seen. Um, yeah, this looks fucking nuts, dude. What the hell? I'm looking at Robin Williams' character. He's the king of everything? Is that what he
Yeah.
is?
Yeah,
He's
he
like this
literally
giant
is.
like satellite dish that like his head is like a Roman column.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking nuts. Yeah,
It is
this one
gnarly.
is this one just is extremely flamboyant in terms of its costuming and just like it's an explosion of imagination. I can just tell, you know, it's an explosion of like of paying respects to different folklore and cultures. It seems, you know, you get all sorts of parts of the world in these costumes. Um, it also seems pretty Russian as well. I think Brand's stick with the trend. He's sort of he's a fan of the Russian fashion. I can see.
Let me choose my third film. The Cranes Are Flying. Actually, it's not that, but they have good costuming in that too.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
just a Russian head. You're just a fan of that stuff. It's fine.
Tarkovsky next, baby. Let's.
um, but yeah, it's just this looks like a. I think
Whimsical.
calling it
is a good word.
storybook like is very on the nose. Like I'm just going through like all these stills. Ooh, there's the Angel of Death. Looks like the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
That's fucking scary. Ooh. Oh. I don't know if I can watch this movie now. It's scary. Anyways, yeah, that looks fucking cool. I want to watch it. I love Terry Gilliam, and that's one of the very few. Is that on Criterion still?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Fuck.
But if you give me permission, I will purchase.
Well, yeah, of course we have shelf space now, so
Okay,
you can
good.
buy as many Blu-rays as you want now.
Oh, as
But
many as I want.
not too many. Not too many.
Oh. Uh-oh, Ethan.
What?
I just bought 500 packages.
Oh no! All right, Chris. What do you think of this movie? What do you think?
I haven't seen very many Terry Gilliam films. How do I pronounce this? Gilliam? Gilliam? Yeah.
Gilliam.
I haven't seen very many of his films. I only recently saw Monty Python the Holy Grail with you guys. I thought it was great. I have never even heard of this film, but just looking at Letterboxd, I can tell this is a very creative film, like one that I feel like it seems like the kind of thing that someone dreamed up one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the cast list, like this is like I don't recognize very many of the people. Like there are people who like names I kind of recognize, but like for example, like Jonathan Pryce I recognize, and like Sting is in this movie.
Yep. You'll see.
So yeah, I mean, like, I always admire like movies that like feel like a person's dream came to life, and yeah, I'm sold on that. I think that's pretty cool. And I do like what you said, Brandon, about how this movie seems like a really great opportunity for a costume designer to kind of go crazy because they have the period piece aspect, but you can also go into fantasy stuff, which I think those are two genres that really do give opportunity for the costume designer to kind of really get creative,
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's great.
Hell yes. So many cool, unique picks for this costume episode. I'm glad we're not all doing something similar. Let's continue that trend, Chris, with your second pick. What is it?
All right, you guys must have seen this coming. I'm picking the first Blade Runner.
Oh,
I thought you were gonna
I
say
thought you were picking
Blade.
Blade. I was like, Wesley Snipes?
Blade.
Okay.
I was like, the costuming that was okay, I guess.
Fuck. I was so close to picking Blade Runner, but I'm glad you did. Let's talk about it.
So Blade Runner, not only does this movie feature my favorite aesthetic of like these vividly smoggy, neon lit urban cityscapes, built around the look of Hong Kong City, biased, I know, but give that a sci-fi neo-noir twist. I mean, come on, like that's just money in your pocket right there. The world of Blade Runner, while researching this, I quickly realized that the world of Blade Runner is without question my absolute favorite quote unquote aesthetic in all of the arts.
Yeah.
I love the way this movie looks, and it's so rugged. It feels so lived in, so filled with inspiration in its costume design from like I swear like French avant-garde fashion, and like it just screams a world of diverse cultures, people, and looks. Um, and like like the world of Blade Runner is so indescribably sublime, and that works for the story wonderfully. And it's a testament to the quality of the craftsmanship behind this film. It's such a visual treat, and I think the costumes play a big role in that. Um, and there's almost even a small part of me that feels like I might actually like the look of this movie more than the actual movie. I can't say the same about its sequel because I love its sequel more than anything. But yes, I do think the costumes in this are just so interesting and vibrant because every person that walks down the street of this fictional version of LA, it's just like you look at them and you're like, that person looks interesting. Or like, I don't know, they're wearing something interesting. Like, I don't know, everything just has like such personality to it. And it all just like it's so you like there's stuff that just like it just looks fucking dope, or it's like I've never seen anything that looks like that before. It's that nice balance for me between like like the weird sci-fi-ness of like a Total Recall mixed with like that kind of sleek noirness of like a noir film from the 40s or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really dig that. Ethan, you said you came close to picking Blade Runner. What do you think?
I came very close. Yeah, I think I think you hit the nail on the head where it's just like a brilliant decision to sort of combine cyberpunk futurism with sort of the sleek grittiness of 40s noir in terms of the costuming in this film. But that's only for a few characters too. You can also sort of sense like there's a lot of Eastern influence in the costuming as well as the production design, a lot of Eastern futurism in just like what they wear and sort of I feel like the materials and like the coloring, you can sort of sense that, but then it's also sort of you get senses of like the trench coats and like the pinup suits and like the leather, from like 40s like noir films, like some Humphrey Bogart films, and I just the scenes whenever like Deckard's just like walking through the streets and like through big crowds. It's like it's a visual feast of just looking at who's wearing like what people are wearing and like what different lives it. So because the world building in this film is like there's a lot of different people left behind on Earth while people are out in space. Like Los Angeles truly becomes a melting pot of cultures, and you can see that in this film. It's a melting pot of different futuristic cultures coming at you in the streets of this future LA. Well, I guess it's not the future anymore. It's LA 2 years ago, which I'm like, what the fuck? I don't remember it looking like this. What the hell? All right, fine.
I love that.
But it's so fucking cool to look at. I love the big jackets with the big collars, the big popped collars. And the really cool design pattern shirts that they wear. Like Deckard's like outfit, I'm looking at it right now. Like it's so cool. Like with the big popped collar like trench coat jacket, and then he's wearing like this weird shirt with like it looks like some like Argyle circuitry pattern with that and the tie, and then like some grainy gray like dress pants, and it's just like it shouldn't work, but it does, Like I love how everything looks in this film, and I think this movie's like just as good as its costuming. Unlike Chris, I think this movie's fucking amazing. Brandon, what do you think?
I didn't even think about this movie when I was thinking about this list.
Really?
Yeah, because when I think about 80s futurism, it all sort of blends together for me. Like I feel like when I think about Blade Runner's costume design, I pair it with Total Recall. Like, frankly, like that Verhoeven style that you see in his science fiction works, where it's like it's sort of modern, but it's like just a little bit enough of crazy to be like, this is the future now, and that we've progressed in a way that we can like wear different kinds of materials. Because honestly, I think about materials when I think about the costuming in these movies. Like they use a lot of plastics, like like over the top, or if it indicates wealth if you're wearing like fur or like a fur coat or something that's really puffy, you know? And that's kind of like an exaggerated style of today in that sense. You mean you've also got like leather, which Deckard's love interest uses or wears in the movie. And yeah,
Rachel's costume is so cool in this movie. Like with the big shoulder pads. Whoa.
What I won't disagree with is that it is an iconic outfit, and I not just an iconic outfit, but like an iconic costume like that Deckard has. Even if it's like not necessarily the most colorful or not necessarily the most like out there. Like it's very plain looking, but like you guys said, it kind of like captures the perfect middle ground between the futurism and the noir, which is I think very hard to do. But they've found a way to like capture that in a way that is both grounded as well as fantastical, if that makes any sense. Like I think of Back to the Future 2 having somewhat similar look in terms of like ties and like suits and stuff like that.
What?
Yeah, literally.
Back to the Future 2?
Yeah, look at the materials on the clothes in which they go to the future. Yes, the clothes in Back to the Future are much more colorful in that movie, but like it is like very similar in like the way that ties are done and the way that overshirts are done. You're just not going to see anybody walking around Hill Valley in a trench coat.
Okay, you're right. Like, I take it back.
Yeah,
you're on to something. Yeah. I think it's a decade later than Blade Runner. Like, I think it's 50s mixed with futurism, where Blade Runner is 40s. But I can see your point.
Yeah. So that's why I didn't pick anything from that time period in the future. Not saying it was not good. It's just like not one of those films stood out to me in terms of their production design or costume design. Sorry, not production design. That's not this episode.
All right. This is good, iconic costuming that I love. All right, so I guess we're getting all of our fantastical films out of the way this round, so I'll do mine. My second pick is something that I thought could never be adapted to on screen. And that is the art style of one of my favorite comic book artists of all time. It's Jack Kirby. And of course, the film that I'm talking about is Thor Ragnarok. I think if you look, I'm not even talking about like the main hero's costumes. I think actually Loki has he has his ugliest costume in Thor Ragnarok. Besides that one,
I think it's worse than his costume in any of the other Thor movies.
Loki's.
Yeah. In Thor
Ragnarok. I agree. I think that one. I think it's a one sore thumb out of this movie, but everything else. All the other costuming in this film is, it is just like, it is a classic 60s, like, science fiction fan's dream. Look at, like, what the people of Sakaar wear, the Sakaar guards. The way Taika Waititi and the costume designer of this film are able to implement Jack Kirby's crazy, bright colors and line art and, like, sharp black lines and these crazy helmet designs and armor designs. You'd think that could never work on screen, but the way it does in this film, it just like it makes me go, chef's kiss. And
especially in live action.
What?
Especially in live action.
Especially in live action, you're just like, wow, I had no idea that could pull off so well, and it makes me just angrier all the more at the costumes of Eternals, because Jack Kirby's designs, he goes all out in Eternals, and they just make it so fucking stupid. It's so washed out and so, I hate the costumes of Eternals, but Taika Waititi, he knows he gets Jack Kirby in this film, and he goes for it 100%, gives it all. I think it also implements the costuming of modern Thor comics in terms of the look of like Hela, the Executioner, of what Thor is wearing. I think it's a good mix of like the modern Jason Aaron Thor, mixed with like some of the classic stuff, you know, where he sort of has like that plain chest pad with the cape, you know, Um,
Yeah.
and how Taika Waititi he implements neon colors into Thor's costume too, when by having like the some more blues in it and everything, you know. And it's just like it is a colorful feast. It is a love letter to the artist that created Thor and so many iconic Marvel characters that I've never seen done before in a comic book movie. Jack Kirby. I had to pick Thor Ragnarok because it's like the one MCU movie where like the costumes is one of the first things I think of, and like the looks of characters, you know? It's one of the most visually distinct MCU movies, so that's why I had to pick it. What do you guys think?
Hmm. I think you're right. It's very distinct. Like you said, it draws inspiration from all kinds of like past comic books and versions of Thor.
Mhm.
And it doesn't. I feel like it's one of the few MCU properties, much like Guardians, but I don't think Guardians plays enough with costuming.
Yeah.
Um, that is able to like distance itself from the main MCU. You know, you kind of get that with Loki too, but even then, it plays into like more familiar, like office style aesthetics, and like you can go like that retro futurism route. But I think one of the things that I really think is quite layered about the film is that every 20 years or so, um society gets like nostalgia for the 20 years earlier.
Yeah.
So in the 2010s, or yeah, you were like looking at the late 80s aesthetic,
Mhm.
as the thing, and this is very much paying homage to that neon lit aesthetic with the
It's
music
that
and
but
stuff.
mixed
But
with
then
the
the
designs of
60s,
60s, which is so
which is
cool.
the what so it's like layered like nostalgia because it's also playing upon, like you said, the 1960s comics, because it
Yeah.
does look like that. It's not saying a lot of those 60s comics are a little more plain though, but when you're looking at the art of like Jack Kirby, a Steve Ditko, like them, you
Mhm.
have like the infamous bubbles and like you said, the line art with these with their art, and it's very much depicted well on these screens. um I love all the costumes in this movie. It's like steampunk esque in a lot of cases. Asgard doesn't feel, it feels like it's almost evolved from the previous films, but in terms of its costuming, because in the other
Mhm.
films it seems more formal, like I was referencing with Russian Ark, sort of more regal in its look,
Yeah.
like a Shakespearean look, whereas like
Mhm.
now it kind of matches with the rest of like the cosmic MCU with like line art and stuff in the fabrics. And I love
Yeah.
that. But like you said, Loki's costume is like the weakest part. All the
Cuz it's
stuff
just
on
like a
Sakaar
green
is really
bodysuit.
good. Hmm.
It's not good.
Yeah, whereas the Sakaar costumes for the most part are really good, you
Yeah.
know. Hmm.
Very good stuff. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I do think this is like I love how vibrant of a movie this is. The transition from Thor 2 to Thor 3, you can very much tell the director has changed.
Oh yeah.
And I think it works very well. The vibrancy of this new take on Thor really does shine through, and I think the costume is a great example of that. Um, yeah, I think overall, like just like the way it carries over tone from that transition between those two, kind of that big shift that Thor as a character took. I think that this movie kind of expresses that really well in its costuming. I love just like, I mean, yeah, overall, just like the fabrics, the textures, the way everything kind of has that, like, yeah, that Asgardian and like alien grandeur to it, but like also, yeah, like there's something just kind of like old school as well about it, like the aesthetic of this movie kind of has like a techno funk futurism to it, and
Mm.
I think it works really well in this movie. I'm trying to think what else I can add to the conversation that you guys haven't mentioned already, but largely that's it. Like, it works well for Thor. I think like it helps give his character a little bit more lightness to him. Um, and yeah, it just works great. I think this is a very well designed, like, the costume design in this movie is really well done. And yeah, I think Ethan, you brought up how like you weren't a big fan of how the Eternals handled this, but you really liked how Thor Ragnarok handled it. And for me, like, it works so well because um, the tone of this film meshes perfectly with the vibrancy of its costumes.
Yeah.
Whereas Eternals has this kind of more realism kind of take on things, but the costumes are still kind of out there. And I guess that's kind of the point, it makes these heroes stand out a lot more against the realism, but it's also like, I like how the costumes in Thor Ragnarok meshes like seamlessly with the world that they create.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's super, super cool. All right, let's go into our final round here. Brandon, what's your last pick?
So we're going into the wild card round now, and I decided to go with. Yeah. Okay.
Wild card, bitches. Yeehaw. Anyways.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a modern film that does adapts like a contemporary style. I'm choosing American Beauty.
American Beauty?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't even think of that for costuming.
Yeah, well, I get it. Because this film is like, honestly, it's taken a hit in terms of its reputation, considering the lead actor's sort of, I don't know what to say about it, controversy. But what is like fantastic about the movie and its style is that it adapts suburban life very perfectly. You've got Mina Suvari's character, who is like essentially the Lolita. She's the gaze character for the male audience. So she is wearing like what you'd see in something like Euphoria today, which is like the iconic style of a
She
teenager.
goes to Euphoria High.
She goes to Euphoria High. That better get us 1,000 views, I swear to God. No, but then you've got like Kevin Spacey and Annette Bening's characters, whose style are like sort of grounded in Nisha's parents and like well put together and like I don't want to say uptight, but I have to say like professional for what like parents are expected to dress like. And like one wears a sweater vest, and like the mom, Annette Bening's character, wears like very professional clothing for her business work. But then as the movie progresses, you very much see that juxtaposed against Kevin Spacey's like lessening like style. He is like becoming more and more like a child, more and more like a 20-something stuck in his 40s, where he's like not wearing like as much clothes. He's wearing like looser fitting clothes, which is a choice. He eventually gets a job at a fast food restaurant and has to like work in like that 90s ugly like minimum wage uniform that I'm sure like a lot of teenagers would have to relate to. And like it I think that's interesting to age a character through their clothing and to show like how over time maybe that changes because somebody goes through like a midlife crisis, or somebody's cheating on their husband, or somebody is made the object of somebody else's affection. And that's why I kind of dig the costuming in this movie, because it's subtle and it's contemporary and it's not very colorful, but it actually is doing a lot of work subtly behind the scenes.
Wow, this is quite an analysis here.
This is a pretty wild card pick, but
wild card.
You made a good argument. That was a good well-articulated argument. Like when you said American Beauty, my brain was like, "Huh?"
Is Brandon just talking about the rose petals on the naked woman? Is that what he's just talking about?
I mean that is wardrobe, right? But like, no, that's not what I'm talking about mainly.
No, but yeah, you expressed how like the costumes transition alongside the characters as the story progresses, and I think that's costume. That feels like costume as storytelling 101. You know what I mean? Like. And that's great. I think that really shows an attention to detail as well as like motivation for great costume design. And yeah, with a film like this, it's not all that flashy. It's not the kind of movie that's like showing off its costumes all that much. But for much like any other discipline, sometimes subtlety and the fact that you don't notice it but you feel it is the point. Mm-hmm. And I think, I mean, you made a good argument for it, and I can totally see why, like, it's an unconventional pick for costume design for sure. But
absolutely.
one that I wouldn't immediately discredit. It sounds like you would discredit this pick immediately, but once you kind of dissect it, you can at least make an argument for this, and I see it. Yeah.
With the other two characters in the film that I didn't mention, or three characters, you get Chris Cooper's character, who's like very also tight, and then you've got Wes Bentley and Thora Birch's character, who are like outcasts, so they're wearing that 90s punk gear too, and I kind of dig that as well. But Ethan, what were you gonna say? Sorry, I cut you off.
I just find it cool that you picked out this film specifically to take a lens into the costuming, because this is a movie about the gaze, not like the gaze of multiple characters. You know, we have Kevin Spacey and how he perceives people, his desires, everything like that. We see, you know, the other characters. We see Chris Cooper and how he perceives everything like that. And automatically, what is one of the first things we think about when we think about perceiving other people? It's what they wear, you know? And American Beauty has to play with that through the costuming. And I think you did a really cool analysis of that. Way to go, Brandon. Let's go. The Kevin Spacey movie. Let's go. I'm just kidding.
I thought you were going to say, let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
No, don't say that.
Okay, I gotta share a thing about, I was at Newport the other day, and you know at restaurants they have like those chalkboard signs that you can put out on the sidewalk that can have
of course.
like today's specials are.
Yeah.
It was a chalkboard sign that had one of those Joe Biden "I did that" stickers placed at the top.
Oh.
It was like really tiny. And then there was a giant arrow pointing at it. And then underneath the arrow in all quotations it said, "Let's go, Brandon, I agree." And then it quoted Sleepy Joe. And then there was another sticker next to Sleepy Joe that had Joe Biden with Mickey ears that said "creepy" in the Disney font. I was like, what is this? It's so fucking stupid. What is it trying to convey? It's like, it's nonsense. "Let's go, Brandon, I agree. Sleepy Joe, creepy." I don't think this restaurant likes Joe Biden. That's all I'm thinking. Anyways, American Beauty. Yeah, cool analysis.
Thank you. I was worried on how you guys would take it, to be honest.
I think it's a bold choice because maybe right now 2000s fashion is coming back. As you were saying earlier in the podcast, we're now looking back at like what's 20 years behind as our point of nostalgia. But like as of right now, I think early 2000 fashion and late 90s is sort of kind of the ugliest eras of fashion that we have.
Totally, because it's so plain.
And I think this movie plays into that, though. I think this movie absolutely plays into that, and that's a skill.
With the hipster characters, you know?
Yeah. So
I don't know. I was like, it's not what you immediately think, and that's why I was like, it kind of is perfect for that in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. As that chalkboard would say, "Let's go, Brandon. I agree."
No.
Yeah, cool. All right. There's Brandon's stack. Fucking wild. These are just some wild stacks that like they don't really have anything to do with each other thematically, but they just got good costumes. All right, Chris, let's take it in your last pick.
All right. My last pick is, well, let me preface by saying this. I've always said that I wished we lived in a world where wearing stuff like cloaks and capes was fully normalized. Unfortunately, we don't live in that world. So realistically, if I had to describe my ideal fashion taste, I feel like I felt like I'm gonna have to finish my stack off with a movie that exhibits just that.
Sky.
And I'm picking a 2019 movie directed by Ryan Johnson.
Oh,
I'm picking Knives Out.
Knives Out. Ooh,
I
that's a
really
cool
like the
contemporary
fashion.
pick.
Yeah, I really like the fashion in this one. So the movie's set in Massachusetts, surrounded by characters that live in prestige, rich, and wealthy, decadent old money homes. Their costumes, I think, complement their characters perfectly. There are these bold colors mixed with muted natural tones, chic fabrics, gentle patterns, just the right amount of accessories that makes it look elegant, classy, but also with a little bit of an edge, like gives it a bit of ruggedness and personality, but also still kind of sticks with that kind of what's the word, like a, I don't know, like I guess the only way I could think of is like Oxford school kind of look that I kind of like. Yeah, like I felt like, I mean, like, I don't know. I just really like the look of it, the feeling of all this stuff. It feels cozy, but also like sleek and fashionable. Um, yeah, I really just like the look of these costumes, but also like I really do like that they're extensions of the characters because you can tell certain characters like motivations and like certain things about who they are and their biases and prejudices and the things they lean towards based on like the way they dress. Some people you can tell look very uptight. Some people a lot more loose and more rebellious. And Anna de Armas's character is noticeably underdressed compared to the what's the name of the family? Shoot,
The
There's a
Knives
name for
Out
the
family.
The Knives Out family.
The
let's call it
Blancs? No, that's his
No, that's-
one-way
that's,
Blancs. That's
Daniel Craig's
Daniel
character.
Craig's, yeah.
The
The Thrombly. No, that's her.
Throm-
Is it Thrombly?
it might be
Thrombly, I think.
Thromby.
Yeah, I think that's
Thrombly.
right. Because
Yeah,
I was like, no,
yeah.
that's her. Because like,
Yeah, that's Theodore
Theodore
Twombly.
Theodore Twombly.
I'm
Theodore
gonna look it up.
Twombly.
Knives Out.
No, I got it right
I
there.
think it's the Thrombies. Yeah.
It's Thwomby. It's Thwomby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Harlan
So-
Thrombly.
okay, yeah. Yeah, the Thwombies. But yeah, I think it works really well. I like how each character kind of has their own distinct look, and it kind of complements the kind of character that they are. And you can gauge a little bit of something when just from looking at them. And I think that works really well for a murder mystery film. You know,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this person, oh, they look like a villain. Are they the villain? Oh, you don't know. But yeah, I think it works great. It's fun, and yeah, it just looks fucking sick. I like it. What do you guys think about Knives Out?
I think this is a very good contemporary pick, because like the colors, the fabrics that they use, I think you nail on the head. It suits every single character, and like not only their characterization but also like their views on their own social status, you know,
Yeah.
and how they
Class.
want to
We haven't
present
really
themselves
talked about
within
that.
their social status. Like you have the granddaughter character who sort of is like who wants to lean away the most from the family, but like she still kind of wears expensive artsy stuff, even like that still ties her back to her own privilege in this family, you know, even though she doesn't dress the same. And then we have the grandson character who like he recognizes his privilege and like uses it for not good things, like tweeting white nationalist stuff while he's in the toilet and stuff like that. So he's wearing like very preppy outfits, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, and then of course you have the iconic Chris Evans wearing the sweater game.
Yeah. the sweater.
This movie very much popularized the sweaters in cinema, I'd say. And it's very fucking good. I love the costume. It's very warm. I'd say this is a good fall time look. Everyone here has really nice fall time looks, you know? And yeah, it's very nice. What do you think, Brandon?
I agree. This is the first time we're like kind of reading into the class other than like the regal look. And like it's like kind of your rich look, you know, your comfortable look. You got like all kinds of different styles, like Chris sort of said. You can tell when people are uptight. Like Jamie Lee Curtis's character is far more uptight because she's wearing like fitted suits with like shoulder pads, which are like, she's a very powerful woman in the movie, but like she obviously wears the pants in her relationship. Whereas you've got somebody who is like wearing something more comfortable, like a Chris Evans character, because he's comfortable lying about where he is throughout the movie, you know, and like he's like the kind of like the slacker and rebellious one of the group, like Chris mentioned. So colors are also a big one. Like it's definitely one of those that I feel like is playing upon a style, like a decade, but like I don't know which one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's pulling all these little things, and I guess in that sense it's kind of modern, but like all the age group of these characters is really all over the place, you know? I get a lot of Agatha Christie, old style Kenneth Branagh vibes from this movie, where it's like it's like a throwback to a time that never was. It's like another idealized storytelling look, but is very modern in comparison to something like modern and grounded in comparison to something like my Munchausen pick.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very good choice.
Very nice. Very nice.
Very nice.
All right. Nice. All right, I'm going to my last pick here. It is, I wanted to do a big grand period piece for mine, one where like the costuming has to be super detail oriented, and where the director gets to play with a big wide variety from a culture from the past. I'm going with a film we've already talked about before on this podcast, but I thought like the costumings and the color of the costumes are so fucking cool. I had to choose it. It is Akira Kurosawa's Ran.
I thought about this one. Oh, I thought
good one. Very good one.
We chose In the Mood for Love for another stack, right? So
yeah, dude,
I thought about that
so
one. Sorry.
Close,
yeah.
But I remembered.
Sorry, great Asian cinema ones are just like...
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk about Rand because like it is just like the gis and the kimonos that they wear in this movie are absolutely beautiful. Like the silk and the patterns that they wear of the Emperor and his three sons, but also I feel like the armor, like the warrior armor in this film is so detail oriented, and like the fact that like Kurosawa has like hundreds of people wearing this armor and he really does play with color in this film, the color of the costumes, because you have to sort of represent the three brothers, their own sort of factions, fighting against each other. And that's played out through the color of the costumes of the warriors and everything. It's such a beautiful film. Like it's crazy. Akira Kurosawa, he's a director that's I feel like he's very much known for his films in black and white, but he is able to master color just as much as he's able to master black and white, which just makes like him all the more impressive as a director. And the colors, the vibrant colors of this rather dark story, just makes like the film all more rich and beautiful, it feels so historical yet a little bit fantastical, which is cool and just beautiful, and makes it makes the scale of this film all the bigger. I feel like when they're wearing such magnificent costumes, such vibrant, magnificent, beautifully designed costumes. So that's why I had to pick Ran. What do you guys think?
I love this movie. My favorite Kurosawa film, no doubt.
Same.
Yeah, the scale of this movie, man. Like the fact, like that when this movie came out in the 53, was it?
No,
50s,
the
I think.
80s.
Was this the 80s movie? Wow, this is sorry.
80s.
It's in color.
85.
80s, sorry, I don't know why I said 53. Anyway, yeah, color. What am I doing? But yes, yeah, this movie is fantastic. I loved it. The thing that, yeah, I guess like the big thing about this is like the scale is like it's all practical. It's so well done, and like it feels so big, and it's like at the time like movies didn't look this big at the time, or like very rarely do they look this big. The amount of costumes they had to put together, and every single one being this intricate, this willing to go so far into detail and really capture the authenticity of like the Japanese like imperial army like samurai like costumes. It's so
Yeah.
It's just a sight to behold. Like I don't think there's been a samurai film that has like made it feel this epic ever since this movie, and it's so like it's beautiful to look at, and the colors are so well done. It's just, I really like it. I think it's fantastic. I'm trying to think what else to say. It has like this. I mean, you could take any still from this movie and just be like, "Oh, mama."
Ooh, mama. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a testament to not only the incredible like craft that went into this film, especially in its costumes, but just like overall, yeah, this film's fucking awesome. Like most people, I think we've talked about this before, but like a lot of people say like, oh, everybody goes to Seven Samurai first when they go to Kurosawa, but everyone knows where the party is, and the party's with Ron.
Mhm.
And yeah,
It's
that's
my
my thoughts.
favorite.
Brandon.
My favorite Kurosawa movie so far. I love the costuming in this movie. I love everything about this movie, but it like sort of is like Ethan said. It's like definitely very traditional when it comes to like the design of certain like clothing items. But like color wise and like design in terms of like the patterns and stuff, it does evoke like an almost like an 80s look, which fits the decade it's set in. And it's very beautiful and it's epic, you know, like something like Lord of the Rings or Russian Ark. Like you have so many characters and sets you need to dress that you get a ton of variety, whether that be on a more like personable front or something on a more like battlefront sort of look. You've got that a good mix of class and formality all over the place. And like I feel like you could point out any one person in this movie and they're probably wearing something slightly like altered from somebody else, or even more so altered. Like it feels like drastic jumps between characters and groups. No character wears the same thing in this movie, whereas like in other movies you'll have extras in the background walking around and it's like, who cares, you know? But in this movie you're like, it's a feast.
It's a feast. It feels like every costume was handcrafted specifically for that one character, and there's like a million soldiers in the film just fighting, and like each costume is like so detailed and last. It's just like, whoo, amazing.
But the main characters is like iconic as well.
Exactly.
Or if you could really call them a main character, since they're like, it's an ensemble piece. But...
But yeah, it's just whoo, beautiful things that those folks down there in Japan are wearing. They're wearing some pretty beautiful stuff back in the day, you know that? I think it looks pretty cool. Alrighty, well, there's all of our films, guys. Let's before we figure out this final stack, let's run down all our films one more time. Starting with you, Brandon, what were your best costuming picks?
I chose American Beauty, Russian Ark, and Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
Yep. Not in that order, but there you go again. Chris, what are your picks?
I'm a menace.
My films were Spencer, Blade Runner, and Knives Out.
Nice. And my films were The Grand Budapest Hotel, Thor Ragnarok, and Ran.
Such a diverse pick.
They're very diverse.
I'm glad we didn't go with anything. Like, I don't think
none of us did a Wes
in
Anderson.
Our costumes, like, none of them overlap with each other's picks, really. You know?
Even if they are, like, similar, like, in terms of, like futurism and, like...
I think the ones that overlap the most is Russian Ark and Baron Munchausen, but it's so vastly different. I think those are the two that are like the closest, you know.
But they're different, you know. Like
they're so different.
It's like dreamlike and like it's different because it's like it capitalizes on that 17 and 1800s like style that is like famous Victorian.
But even like, then, that's hundreds of years to go into different like, you know.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, we have a wide range of costumes here, and I'm glad we chose that. So now we have to boil down to just 3.
Yeah, this is gonna be hard because like, how do you well down an entire discipline into 3 movies?
These are pretty good movies, like for the most part, right? So I'm gonna ask you guys this: like, are we picking based on film quality, or are we picking based on costume quality and what blends into the next? Or like, how do you guys feel about that?
I think costume quality, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I want to do costume quality, and I want to show a wide range. I don't want to have one blend into the next in terms of its costumes, because I want to show off what people have made in film, you know, and like how different it can be, you know. Mm-hmm. So I think, if we're gonna go with a period one, I'm honestly rooting for Russian Ark. I think the costuming of that looks
I'd be more than happy with Russian Ark.
They had to dress crew members in that movie because if it's gonna be a one take movie,
Imagine being a gaffer and working on that film and having to dress in like one of those
in dresses and stuff, like chic dresses.
bringing out a stinger, having to hold up
There's
their dress.
there's like 2 or 3 scenes where it's like 2 or 3 scenes max where it's like contemporary clothing, but for the most part it's
over here.
like,
Having a trip
it's
over.
formal.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I kind of want to see a film about how this film was made. But yeah, I would like recommend this film to anybody, and I think it's a good pick for our stack.
Yeah,
I'm
I
dying
would
to watch it.
I would love to put Russian Ark on this.
Yeah.
I'd like to put a futurism sci-fi kind of deal.
I agree with that.
I think Blade Runner is our pick for that one. Like,
I don't think
I'd be happy
we
to
did
put
it.
Blade Runner.
that's
I think I
honestly
could
it's
choose.
genre defining. The costuming of
the
Blade
cyberpunk
Runner.
look.
Yeah.
Like the.
It defined a
I
whole
wouldn't say
genre.
defining.
What?
I wouldn't say it was the defining one.
What
I
do
feel
you
like-
think before that though? Like all cyberpunk aesthetic comes from Blade Runner.
Did Ghost in the Shell come out soon? No, it didn't.
No,
No,
that's
this was a
90s.
90s movie.
And Akira
Low-key,
came out
yeah.
88.
Low-key, yeah. I think Blade Runner might have helped us at least start it. It probably pulled elements from a bunch of different stuff, but to
Like I think
cement the beginning-
Alphaville. Look at Alphaville from the 1960s, a French film. That was probably like a big inspiration for that 80s aesthetic.
Yeah.
The 80s futurism.
I'm looking up what the origin.
It's a Godard movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I don't know. I think Blade Runner is a pretty significant film.
What was your fantastical pick, Ethan?
Thor Ragnarok.
Oh yeah. Okay, we're going Blade Runner.
Yeah.
So what's our final one? Because we have period piece and we have
Wild
like,
card picks.
sci-fi. So I think our final one has to be a wild card because I feel like those are the two big ones. So let's have some fun with this last one.
Okay.
So I did American Beauty. Ethan did.
I don't really have a wild card one. I mean Grand Budapest.
Yeah,
like
no.
that's super stylized period piece. Like it's not realistic period piece, because it's like
That's true.
it
We
brings in
could
such
do
fantastic.
Ron, but I also feel like Ron
should
could
use
be
that.
used so
Yeah.
many places.
Yeah.
Do we want to use that right now?
No.
No.
We could use
I
that for
just
like
had to bring it up.
Shakespeare films down the line.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
I don't know. Maybe American Beauty, because like that's
You
just
made
like
a good argument for that, honestly. I wouldn't not be opposed to that.
I
As
wouldn't be
weird as
opposed
that
either.
sounds.
yeah.
And then
Should we
Chris,
do it?
what was your last wild card pick? Sorry, just
Chris's wild card was
tagging on my
Knives
face.
Out. I don't know.
Knives Out was my wild card
Mm.
pick. Not even that wild.
Not
I
that
would
wild.
want, if I'm gonna do anything, there's two that we gotta pick one side of the spectrum. We gotta pick my well thought out analysis of a film. The costumes are like more blended with the characters, or like the highly stylized look of something like Grand Budapest. Because I feel like we've got our like future and we've got our past all like
Mhm.
cinched up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Russian Ark does have contemporary stuff. It came out in the early 2000s around the time of American Beauty. But it doesn't dwell on it for very long at all. Like it's brief stints. Think like the Two Popes, where they're in that museum having conversations. Like that,
Yeah.
with like random patrons. But yeah, I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide which of those two you guys want.
I want to go American Beauty. I thought your analysis of
I
that was
honestly,
pretty
your analysis works.
out of left field and surprising.
Okay.
One of the rare times the wild card pick makes it in.
Okay.
Yeah. And I like
We'll
it.
be fair.
Yeah.
All right, order.
Order here. Do you want to go in timeline?
Past, present, future?
Yeah.
Even though when you watch Russian Ark, you're watching. I guess it's all past now.
It's all
'cause
past,
Like...
right?
Yeah, well, but technically American Beauty is too. But like you said, that style is kind of coming back for
Yeah.
better or for worse.
Well, this is a
Mm.
chronological order, I'd say,
Hmm.
of showing the past of early 20th, maybe even earlier than that, 19th and 18th century. Then we
Mhm.
get early 21st century, Uh,
And then you got 21st century. Technically.
yeah. Then we just got futurism. So yeah, what do you think of that? That sounds like a good order, right, guys?
I like that.
I like it.
Alrighty.
Past, present, future, or past. Couple years ago, future.
Yeah. All right. So which one am I gonna present on? I'm gonna. I want to do the first one, Brandon. I'm gonna present on Russian Ark, even though I've never seen.
Okay.
All right. So this is Stack's final stack of the 3 films that we think represent the best costuming in cinema. Starting with Russian Ark. I don't remember who directed this movie, but it's about it's a single shot film that captures Russia throughout time, and with that comes a plethora of extravagant evolution of Russian fashion, of high fashion, and costuming. I've never seen this movie before, but it sounds pretty fucking cool. Russian Ark. Everybody, let's say yay Russia on 3.
No.
Oh, should I mention what I texted to the group?
Yeah, I only said that because Chris just texted us something. Do you want to say, Chris?
Okay, so breaking news. In the middle of this podcast recording, President Putin has ordered Russian troops to enter eastern pro-Russian region of Ukraine. We don't know what this might mean and larger implications for what the world has been very anxious about the last couple of weeks. Yeah. Anyway, we have an interesting habit of recording at very interesting times on our planet.
Yeah.
Monday nights. Something about
Shit
Monday
goes
nights.
down. Everybody
Garfield was right. Mondays suck.
Fuck Mondays, dude. First Betty White, now this. Are you kidding me?
All right. Well,
all right.
find
A
out.
Russian Ark. That's our first pick. What's our second pick, Brandon?
Our second pick is a very nuanced costumed film in American Beauty, a suburban masterpiece that somehow tackles the hipster realities of the 90s with the falling apart of certain gazes that we are so well accustomed to in the modern day. American Beauty.
Hell yeah. Chris, what's our last film? Wrap it up for us.
Our last film is Ridley Scott's 1982 sci-fi defining classic Blade Runner, an incredible movie about humanity and artificial intelligence and all that stuff, but also a beautiful aesthetic complemented by some amazing, amazing costume design. That's our stack, everybody.
And that is, yep, that's it. That's how we do it. That's how we talk about costumes. There are so many costumes in film. I feel like people have so many different tastes on what a good costume is. Please, if you're listening to this, let us know, what are your favorite costumes in movies. You know, I want to see, because we had a wide variety here of what our little takes were on costuming. I want to hear yours. So leave them down in the comments below, and fucking rate
Click
us
right here
on everything. What? What?
Click right here if you want to see more.